And now, welcome to this session.
This session examines the integration of AI-driven tools throughout the secure software development lifecycle, discussing their applications and considerations in areas such as threat modeling, code review, testing, and deployment environment hardening. Focusing on application security and secure coding, our next speaker, a software security engineer at Point West, conducts vulnerability assessments and develops training materials for security best practices. She'll discuss the application of AI-driven tools in secure software development. Let's show our appreciation to Ms. Christine Balanaa.
There. Hi everyone. Thanks for coming to our session on AI-driven tools in secure software development process. So today, I'm here to share a little bit on how we may consider introducing AI tools in our current development workflows, as well as to explore some of the opportunities, advantages, and challenges of using these tools. So here's an outline of what we're going to talk about in the next hour. We'll start with a brief introduction to the SDLC framework, and next we'll explore how AI tools can enhance our development processes, as well as the importance of threat modeling in identifying potential risks early in the development cycle. I'll highlight some features related to development and testing, and finally, we'll cover um, strategies for secure deployment, and also we'll touch on the advantages and challenges of integrating these tools into the SSDLC. Before we proceed, I'd like to share a quick disclaimer. The examples I'm going to share are experimentation and not intended for production use. So exercise caution when considering implementation in live environments and ensure that any use of AI tools are in compliance with your company policies. Let's have a little fun with emojis. So here's a classic example from our favorite game, Guess the Emoji. So can anyone guess what these emojis are trying to say? Yes, that's right. This emoji representation captured the essence of the fixing bugs or bug debugging code. So first we start with the working code, then we spot some bugs and issues, and then we start debugging and fixing. And then after there's some frustration, why won't it work? And finally the problem is solved, sometimes by itself. So this emoji represent or capture the essence of debugging code. So just like modeling in software, we take complex ideas and simplify them into something easily understandable, like this emoji. It's a model of something. I would like to share a quote by George Box. all models are wrong, but some are useful. It is a good reminder that while models can help simplify complex realities, they are inherently approximations and not perfect representations. So for us, developers, we are fundamentally concerned with the concept of modeling reality. If we think about it, in each step of the software development, we attempt to create a model on how the system is supposed to work. We create various diagrams that clarify requirements and design decisions. So for user stories, we try to capture the functionality from a user's perspective. But as we have mentioned earlier, while models are essential tools, they are not perfect representations of reality. So after a while, users may have different needs that weren't captured in the initial user story or requirement. So one common challenge is ensuring that models remain relevant as requirements evolve. And this is also true for security. So just as modeling in software engineering creates representations of systems to understand their structure and behavior, in threat modeling, we try to model the potential threats in a system. So it tries to simplify something that is complex and try to make it more manageable. But threat modeling is also not a one-time task. So it should be updated regularly as systems evolve and new threats emerge. So this ensures that security measures remain relevant and effective. So we have established frameworks like STRIDE, PASTOR, Octave to guide the identification and assessment of threats. And these frameworks provide some structure similar to those we do in software development. But we have challenges from as developers when we do threat modeling. First, we have limited time and resources. Features development is higher priority, and then there's a challenge of keeping threat models up to date, complexity of systems, and lack of detailed documentation about system architecture and data flow. So from the software development perspective, the interest and probably a clearer mental model that we can have is which actions should be taken corresponding to which threat, and how does this affect the feature and the flow of our system. It is to have a better understanding why we are implementing this security requirement and why do we need this security control. So to help with understanding better the different perspectives, we can ask ChatGPT to simulate this conversation. So roleplay can transform security scenarios and it is in a way more immersive, and because there is more context, it can also become more relatable. So let's try to. Here's the prompt I gave ChatGPT. I said, I would like to conduct a threat modeling session for a login application. Please simulate a conversation between a security expert and a developer with limited application security knowledge. The session should focus on identifying potential threats using the STRIDE framework along with corresponding mitigations. During the conversation, discuss potential attacker counter-responses to these mitigations and the team's responses to those counter-responses, simulating a strategic brainstorming process similar to a game of chess. Incorporate decision points related to threats at each step of the login process, visualizing this flow using a diagram in Mermaid syntax. After the conversation, please summarize the identified threats, mitigations, counter-responses, and improved responses in a table format, I think. That's what yes. And then limit the conversation to 10 sentences at a time. So here's how the ChatGPT responded to the prompt. So phase one, understanding the application flow. And then here we can see that what's the first step. So first, when the user navigates to the login page, a potential spoofing attack could occur if an attacker redirects them to a fake login page. How would you mitigate that? So the developer said, I'd probably use HTTPS to make sure the connection is secure. So good, but an attacker might try to obtain a fraudulent certificate or create a lookalike domain. To counter this, we could implement a CSP to limit what can be loaded. What do you think an attacker might do next? So the conversation continue for each of the stride element. So the next phase, maybe they tried phishing attacks instead of using a fake page. So exactly. So an additional layer could be a 2FA. So this makes phishing harder because the attacker would need both credentials and the 2FA code. So through this brainstorming strategy, we can experiment with different responses and clarify on the impact of implementing security controls. And to further simplify, we can use a tool like Mermaid to visualize the flow. So the conversation continues. And then after, here's the flow chart that was generated and the table to summarize the conversation. So it can be a more effective mental model for developers to understand security threats and their consequences uh, by using this approach. So here's another prompt, and what I included here is the goal. And as you can see, the response is also different. And here's the flow chart generated in Mermaid syntax and the table. So why Mermaid? Mermaid makes it easy to create diagrams and flow charts. So it has a simple syntax and it works well with different platforms. So here I went to mermaid.live and directly copied uh, the Mermaid syntax produced by ChatGPT, and I can visualize the flow chart. Also, because it is text based, the diagrams can be versioned, so it should be easier to keep up to date. So I also would like to discuss a little bit about meta prompting. So what is meta prompting? It is a technique where we ask an AI tool like ChatGPT to help us improve our prompts. So how do we communicate with the LLM? Ask the right questions to get the best answers. So let's try. Let's see how we may be able to accomplish this. It's like we're programming, but now it is in natural language. So please suggest how I can improve my prompt. For more detailed login flow with threats and corresponding mitigation strategies. So ChatGPT provided me with some feedback and also this prompt. And then I can try to use that prompt again to see if I can get a better response. The- So ChatGPT expanded the diagram but did not maintain a single diagram. So as we have mentioned, the model is not perfect, but it is a start. Okay, so since it is not perfect, it is good to be able to edit the diagram also in draw.io. So if you're not familiar with Mermaid syntax, there's a convenient solution. It can be imported to Draw.io, which is more familiar environment for most development teams. So after importing the syntax, then we can edit in Draw.io. We can also ask ChatGPT to color code the diagram, but here in Draw.io, we can manually edit our diagram and identify the mitigation. There, it's a good start in creating our diagrams. Here's another diagram from Gemini. Yes. So I think what I did here was I asked Gemini to improve the diagram provided by ChatGPT. So now let's try to ask ChatGPT to generate user stories for each mitigation strategy. So the difference here is the user story will be focused on the mitigation and how it can be transformed into a user story, which uh, we are more familiar with as developers. So also I asked ChatGPT to include the story points and the acceptance criteria. So ChatGPT provided me with a draft and a table and also a diagram. So this helped in presenting the information in with more clarity, and also it's also easier to understand the requirements. Now let's move on to development. Before we generated the diagram using ChatGPT, but now we can try to generate the diagram from existing code. So here we have a code for the login process. Let's select the related code and ask Copilot to generate the diagram. Can you generate diagram using Mermaid syntax for the selection? Oh, so GitHub Copilot generated a sequence diagram instead of what I'm expecting, which is a flowchart. But this one should also work when we import to Draw.io or Mermaid.live. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to ask Copilot if this can be generated in Markdown. Mm, There. So after that, we can again visualize the output from Copilot in Mermaid.live, and then we can see the flow based on the code. So it's a bit different because it included the 403 account is temporary lock, but it's also similar in what we have generated from before in our threat modeling. And also again in draw.io can be imported. And this is what I was trying to do with Copilot. I wanted Copilot to generate in Markdown, but it's simple. Just add a mermaid on top and then it will be embedded in the Markdown document. So GitHub also supports Mermaid, so this can enable the team also for collaboration and sharing. And this feature can enhance our documentation since we can now version the diagram since it's text-based. So let's proceed to the feature to explain the code. So I tried for 3 AI tool, Copilot, Cody AI, and also ChatGPT. So OWASP Juice Shop is a intentionally vulnerable application. So that's the code I use for this one. So GitHub Copilot explain are there vulnerabilities in this code. So again, highlight the code, ask Copilot to explain. And then I ask again if are there vulnerabilities in this code. So Copilot identified some vulnerabilities as expected because this application is intentionally vulnerable. So that's for Copilot. Now we can try another tool, SourceGraph Cody AI. So it's another tool we can use in VS Code, Cody AI. Then I ask Cody to explain the code again and ask if there are any vulnerabilities in the code. And this time, Cody identified 7 vulnerabilities. And finally, let's try with ChatGPT. Explain the code and then are there vulnerabilities in this code? So that's the result. And now we can compare the common findings among the three. So first, the first finding, password is generated by reversing the email and encoding it in base64. And then the token's expiration time is set to 8 hours from the current time. The authentication token is stored in the cookie and the local storage. And for the vulnerabilities, Copilot identified 4, provided the recommendations and example on how we can improve the code. And then Cody identified 7 vulnerabilities but did not give any recommendation or improvement to the code. For ChatGPT, there are 8 vulnerabilities identified and some recommendations. So here are the common vulnerability findings among the three: insecure password handling, token storage, and error handling. So let's proceed with the testing. So one tip that um, I can give is that we should ask questions that we know the answer, so we can double check if the tool is giving us the correct answer. So here's a example of Hello World app in Express.js. So let's try to ask Copilot to generate a Hello World app in Express. Here we can observe that Copilot can infer and suggest based on the comments. So what I did here is Hello World example and then Control Enter. And then on the right, it will give us some suggestions on how to set up the Hello World app in Express. And then let's try if it's actually working, and it's working. Next is the feature to set up tests. So given your workspace structure, it looks like you're working on a node project. Here is something you can do. So Copilot suggested to create this folder test with the index.test.js, apply changes, and then install the Jest. Mm. So I need to apply the changes. There you go. So the example test pass. So it means that now the unit test, you can see it's working. So now let's try to generate the test in this example code. Highlight and then test to generate the unit test. So Copilot gives some suggestion and we can accept, and then we run the test. We can see that it also worked. So how can we now use this for testing our own scenarios related to security? So let's try with the test for security headers. Of course, this is a simplified version, but we can try to test security headers and then Control Enter. So on the right side, GitHub Copilot will suggest some of the code we can start with. So we can accept the suggestion. So that's a suggestion by Copilot, but we want to use the one recommended by OWASP. So here's a recommendation from OWASP. We can start with this recommendation, and then if we need to adjust later, because this is coming from a strict and stricter policy, so deny by default. So I copied the headers from the website, and then I went back to Copilot or VS Code, then ask Copilot to generate unit tests for the recommended security headers. So we expect that the test will fail because we don't have any implementation for the headers in our application. So it failed. But then we can also ask Copilot to fix the failing test. So let's try. So Copilot suggested a middleware to set the security headers. So let's apply this middleware. And now the tests are passing for the security headers. So let's check if it's actually working in the browser. Inspect, and then the network, we can see all the response headers that we have. So here we can see that the headers recommended by OWASP are all here. Xframe options, refer policy, content security policy. So let's proceed with the deployment. So for this one, I asked Copilot to create a continuous integration pipeline for GitHub Actions. Please help create CI for GitHub Actions. And I asked for an explanation on the steps. After following the steps provided by Copilot, I can see in GitHub that it's working. Now let's try if Copilot can convert the GitHub actions to Azure DevOps. Convert the file ci.yaml sa GitHub action file into Azure DevOps. So it's a use case if, for example, we're going to change the CI pipeline and we need to move to a different one. So for the deployment, we can also ask ChatGPT to help us draft a checklist for deployment. So here I asked ChatGPT to create a checklist for AWS configuration when deploying an Express.js web application with a strong focus on secure setup and best practices. So here's the markdown I already added to GitHub. And here's the backout plan checklist. So let's move on to the opportunities and risks. So we have an opportunity to integrate these AI tools to enhance our code quality and testing and also to speed up our development cycles. But there's also the risk of data security and privacy and potentially generating untrustworthy code. So some prompts can lead to a response that is a hallucination. So the content generated may be false or misleading, but the tool might express this as something that is true. And the generated code may work, but it might not adhere to security best practices. It may also suggest insecure code. So we have to manage our expectations about the tool's capabilities. So here's some concerns about AI alignment. So AI may perform well in controlled settings, but struggle in real world changes, like leading to misalignment. So the AI can achieve the goal in a way that is harmful or contrary to our intentions. And for the solution or the demo I presented, it's for a um small code, and for larger applications or use cases, it may not scale effectively to more complex applications. And also AI tools tend to suggest popular solutions instead of, if we have latest advancements in the programming language, it might not suggest that option. So for our key takeaways, AI is increasingly becoming a part of software development, and this will change the skill set and expectations for software developers. So we have to understand the tool, their features, as well as their strengths and limitations, and to identify the challenges and managing the risks that are essential if you want to integrate AI tools in our workflows. And stay curious and keep learning. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you, everyone. And um, I hope you have a good rest of the evening.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much, Christine, for that wonderful presentation. We still have time actually to answer questions from our audience here this evening. before anything else, I would like to encourage our participants to shower Christine a round of applause and heart emojis, please. And Christine, may I request you to turn on your cameras for the Q and A, to turn on your camera for the Q and A portion. We'll just quickly go through the questions that have been posted all throughout your presentation. And because I think we still have around 15 to 20 minutes to have the question and answer. Okay, for our first question, we have uh, we have here on the screen, what do you see as the most promising AI driven tools or techniques specifically for addressing security vulnerabilities in the early stages of development, like design or coding?
I would say it's the in the threat modeling, because in addition to the what I presented, there are tools for um, doing continuous threat modeling. So I think it's most promising. And with that, we can also um, have our security requirements earlier in our development process.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Miss Christine. Our next question asks, while AI tools offer many advantages, what are some potential risks or challenges in integrating them into secure software development workflows, and how can these risks be mitigated?
Just like with any other tool, since we're adding to our system, um, first it's the data privacy and security. So we have to avoid, if we don't want, um, it's like if you don't um, think that you can commit to the public repository, the one you're giving to the AI tool, then it's probably not a good idea to uh, use to expose that code or proprietary code to the tool. So that's
Mm,
one. And also, since it's a tool we're integrating into our environment, it can also be potentially be an attack surface, additional
mhm,
attack surface to our um workflow, since it's an additional tool similar to, if you heard about some Jenkins vulnerability. So it's a tool that it's in our workflow. It's also being targeted by attackers. So we have to evaluate our risks just like any other tool that we are going to integrate in our workflows.
mhm. Oh, in relation to that question, I think we should also answer the question from Diane, that what ethical considerations should we keep in mind when using AI driven security tools?
Um, For this one, even if it's generated by AI, we still need to be accountable with any content that we use generated by the tool. So that's top of mind for me. So
Thank
we
you for
remain accountable for the.
mm. So that's the main ethical consideration that you can think of, the accountability and posting those materials online. So Diane, I hope that answers your question. Our next question is actually, what are the challenges and limitations of using AI for secure software development, from Isa Pearl Santos?
One of the limitation is that it can generate insecure code as well. So it can actually introduce insecure code into your process or insecure so we still need to review what the AI is giving us. So that's a challenge. And also the limitation is that since it's trained from usually from historical data, I think it's not, as mentioned, it's not going to be effective for newer programming languages or technologies that's just released
Mm-hmm.
right now. So
All right. Thank you for that answer, Miss Christine. Our next question actually is looking ahead 3 to 5 years, what significant changes do you anticipate in the landscape of secure software development due to the increasing influence of AI? And what skills should developers be focusing on to adapt?
yes, it will change the way we work, I think for sure.
Mhm.
So it's more like we need now to orchestrate these tools, these AI tools, and to
Mhm.
know what they are capable of doing and also their limitations. So some of the manual tasks we do as developers may be done now by the AI, of course with our also with our guidance or with our review. So yes.
Okay. Thank you for that answer, Ms. Christine. Our next question actually is very specific, quite specific. Does it introduce new vulnerabilities if we use Gen AI all throughout the SDLC, especially when these Gen AIs learn our architecture code from our prompts?
It is possible that it can introduce vulnerabilities. I think it's just like any other tool that we integrate into our workflow. It can introduce an additional attack surface because we're adding more components into our environment. So yes,
So yes, the short answer to that question is yes. It introduces new vulnerabilities. Our next question is how can you prevent the AI to produce false positive results?
mm, it's. I think it's this is more of the prompt engineering. Like now
Mm.
we need to program, but in natural language. So how we communicate with the LLM or the AI, so the AI can give us the best result that we need. So
Okay, thank you for that question also and answer. Our next question is how can a team effectively transition to use AI driven tools and what specific metric can they look into in assessing if it is effective and providing better results than not using it? So, how can a team effectively transition to using these AI driven tools? And what specific metric can they look into in assessing if it is effective and providing better results than not using it?
for the metrics, I think it depends. So if we are using some tool for threat modeling, and we observe that the number of vulnerabilities introduced early in the development process has decreased, then it's a good metric, I think. So if after the development process we do our vulnerability scan, we notice or we observe that there's a decrease in the number of vulnerabilities, then I would say that the uh, the process was improved to detect or to mitigate the threats.
Mm. All right. Thank you, Ms. Christine. I hope that answers your question. Our next question from Brent Miras. What non AI resources can developers use to supplement their knowledge when using AI in order to validate the AI responses?
OWASP is a good resource. So
Mhm.
what they presented about the security headers, it's they give recommendation and they have like an application security ASVS standard for application. Also for testing, they also provide some documentation related to that, so we can um, check what AI is providing us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in relation again to that question, no, we have another question here from Chris. How reliable and accurate are AI tools when used in the software development process in general?
In general, I think it's getting more reliable, but also
Mm,
it depends on what you. It's still we still have an input to the AI, so it depends on what you provide as an input. So yes, I think it
mm.
will become more reliable. I hope, and not yes.
Cause any further misinformation, right? So our next question from Rachel Ann. In your personal experience, what do you see as the main benefits and challenges of integrating AI driven tools into the secure software development cycle?
The main benefit is it's an assistant. So some of the tasks, if we have to do, and sometimes we are stuck when we think about the threats. For example, we are stuck with the what threats are we looking at. So if we have ChatGPT or an AI tool to like be a partner, or like a role play. So what's this? So brainstorm. We can
Mhm.
generate more ideas. So it's a benefit, but also a challenge because it can provide us with something that is not very accurate.
Mm.
Mm. And
Okay.
since we cannot really, I don't think we can stop using AI now that it's here.
Yeah.
So it's good to know and leverage the tool
Mhm.
in our work.
Yes. Actually, there's a question also. There's also a question here, Miss Christine, no, from Michelle Jane. Do we have an alternative tool for Copilot? So, because since you demoed earlier using Copilot, so do you suggest any other alternative tool other than Copilot?
Yes, there are other tools like there's the Cody AI and also Tab9, but it's paid. I'm
Mm.
also looking into some open source LLMs that we can integrate into, because GitHub Copilot now is also subscription based.
Mhm. This one, another interesting question here from Danica. What would you advise to companies that are still skeptical about AI's benefits? I think this is a ringing question amongst all our participants, right?
I think it's good to be skeptical because you have to manage also your expectation and the risk with the benefits or the advantages that AI can bring. So if we are skeptical, I think that means that we are thinking deeply about it. If it's something that we can use in a responsible way.
Mm-hmm.
So an advice is that we can, since it's already a tool that's increasingly being integrated to everything, we need to learn about this tool because it's out there now. That's so yes.
All right. Thank you for that answer, Miss Christine. Danica, I hope that answered your question. We have a question here. Someone, an anonymous participant, no, what strategies can organizations apply to ensure that AI tools used in the software development process are transparent and do not introduce additional vulnerabilities?
So if it's an organization or for professional use,
Mm-hmm.
because for me I use it for personal um, learning. So if it's in
Mm-hmm.
an organization setting, first I think is the organization should have a establish a policy first on the use of AI in their company, so that
Mm-hmm.
the developers would also know in what way they can use this tool or what is not allowed, since we're dealing with proprietary code maybe. So what is not an allowed use case for the tool.
Mhm. All right. Thank you. I hope you understood that completely to the asker of that question. Okay. We have another question here. Anonymous participant again. What is your favorite AI tool for vulnerabilities and why? So this is kind of a Miss Universe type of question. So what's your favorite AI tool for vulnerabilities and why?
I don't have a favorite AI tool. I think it's good to cross-reference. So if you have ChatGPT, Gemini, and Copilot, so
Mm,
it's good to observe like the same prompt and what the other tools will produce or give me as an answer, as a response, and also to ask the tool like to improve or to fact check what the other tool is giving me, what information is giving me.
mm. Okay. And to wrap it up, I think we only have time for one last question. So we have a question here from Francis Noel, a faculty member from UST. What are the best practices that you can give to our participants here when using AI and software development? So just the top of your mind, best practices that you can advise to our participants this evening.
Mm, best practices. So first, top of mind is to avoid giving the AI sensitive information or
Mm.
private information or something that you don't want to be used possibly as a training data or something that can be used as an output by the AI. So maybe
Mhm.
it's possible that what we give AI can also be an output to another person using the AI. So that's top of mind for me.
Okay, so data security is key and the top priority here in using AI. Okay, once again, thank you so much, Miss Christine, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us in our last session this evening. Once again, now in case you guys still have a question for Miss Christine, or feel free to chat with our speaker here on the platform and on AirMeet. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for this session. And if you enjoyed these sessions and all the other sessions that you've attended all throughout the day, please feel free to give your rating and share your feedback about our speaker and your entire experience for day one. Okay, you'll find the link of this feedback form in the chat box. And once again, let's thank our speaker this evening, Miss Christine Balana. Let's give her a round of emojis, please, to show our appreciation. Thank you once again, Miss Christine. To everyone, that is the end of our day one. That's the end. That's the last session for today. And I hope you've participated, you've engaged, and you've gotten to learn a lot of things for day one only, because we still have day two and three upcoming. So we hope to see you in the next 2 days. See you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Have
Thank
a good
you.
night,
Have a good night.
everyone.
Welcome to Avaloq, the #1 provider of software and services for wealth managers and private banks. Founded in 1985, we now have over 4 trillion in Swiss francs assets managed on our systems, 17 offices, in 10 countries, with more than 2,500 employees across the globe, and 25% of annual revenue spent on R&D. We build long-lasting relationships with our client community. And we're proud of our 100% record of successful client implementations. By sharing our investment in innovation, development and regulatory initiatives, we unlock more value for our community. We enable our clients to grow their business and increase efficiency and speed. Our clients have used our solutions to simplify their administrative burden, increasing revenue per relationship manager by up to 10%. Through automation, We have delivered STP rates for payments of up to 99.8% for our clients. And our flexible and modular architecture allows clients to expand rapidly into new markets. We offer a range of innovative solutions from front to back office. And we also support the back office with banking operations. Avaloq's open, highly scalable architecture is built on a unified data model, providing a single source of truth for all client and transaction data. With our multi-entity, single-instance approach and market-specific standard editions, clients can easily expand their business. Our products integrate seamlessly with our clients' own applications or third parties, and our customization layers give clients flexibility while maintaining many of the benefits of standardization. Everything we do supports our mission to orchestrate the financial ecosystem and democratize access to wealth management.
This is the big picture. Digital transformation is a complex journey. What we need is to connect business strategies and innovation. Transform the process to deliver fast. Collaborate with experts in building your vision from concept to launch. Deliver the best experiences, from ensuring reliability to embedding quality in your culture. Take your business to the cloud to grow and scale on